I'm attempting to create a new world record. The longest time in which one has written a short story every day. Why am I doing this? Don't ask me. Anyway, hope you enjoyed today's instalment. 45. Rebellion. The night was dark, but the fires of the rebellion cut harshly against the blackness. We waved our flares into the unrelenting dusk, screaming wildly and tearing across the battlefield in a mighty stampede. The oxygen filled our collective lungs, bringing with it a cold freedom, a kind of ecstatic freedom only felt when sprinting through darkness. It filled our bones and filled our hearts as we tore towards the skyline. Yes, we were a rebellion, a stampeding force of 1,000, fighting to protest the law of the land we were born into, the laws that held our true freedom hostage on the skyline. Oh, how we longed for freedom. Freedom from captivity, freedom from constrictions, freedom from roles, freedom from even freedom itself. That was true for all of us. We would no longer grin at and stomach the tyrants that had besieged our rights. They had besieged our right to exist in the way we pleased. They had stolen away all liberty, stolen away our existential, God-given rights. And for that, they would face the might of God too, on the battleground that was the skyline. Such gleeful thoughts tickled our minds, reimbursing our strength and bolstering our speed. It fed us, like the food that they had deprived us of should have. Yes, the deprivation itself had brought on a new wave of energy, energy with a new, spectacular taste. Yes, the fire that burned within our hearts nourished us after so much time spent in starvation. The fire sparked to life by the prospect of a rebellion on the thin, watery black skyline. Growing closer to us now was a mass of grey spread along the skyline, a troop of enemy soldiers that obscured the paint-like light spread by the sun upon the dusk horizon. They wore grimaces, held themselves high, and puffed out their meaty chests. Their uniforms were of a deep shade of khaki, tight and leathery over their bulging, steel-like chests. They were like scowling statues, and their stony gaze caused the fire within our hearts to waver, ever so briefly. Yet, the light that managed to wriggle in between the walls of bodies made its way into our eyes, stoking the fire to new heights. Yes, that view of the skyline. Even when the pathway to us was blocked by those who stand tall to oppose us, it only added fuel to the fire of freedom, the fire of desire, the fire of rebellion that mimicked the vivacious sun peaking above the skyline. We would not stand down. We would not give in. Not if our lives were certain to end right where we stood. We didn't care any longer. We grew to become something beyond just ourselves. We were all members of one body, fighting and giving our lives for the same cause, and the idea of giving one's own life for the cause stoked the flame to unimaginable proportions. For some of us, stoking it more than the idea of reaching the freedom that lay on the skyline. Eventually, after a long stretch of ecstatic, joyful sprinting, we slammed into the inanimate wall of soldiers, like bullets raining down on a building. We punched and slammed and slapped and pushed and shoved and raged, weaseling our way in between their legs, through the small gaps in their ranks, and out towards freedom. But on our way, many stood stuck behind those towering bulwarks, unable to escape. In the wall's shadow, many of us, many of our fires, grew weak and timid. But for those that did make it through, we escaped in time to witness the great fire of the sun rise above the skyline, illuminating the great expansive plateau that lay behind the wall of soldiers. Many of our fires wavered and dimmed as we felt our brothers be swallowed up by the shadow of the wall of soldiers. Many of us wept in the days following. Many songs were sung of their valiance and honour. But despite that, the fact of the matter was clear. Freedom was ours, and so was the glorious, fiery skyline. The rebellion was successful. and our fires would burn forevermore, burning as one, to never be stifled and derived of freedom ever again.